Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And it's getting a little bit late. It is 7:08 p.m. right now, and the light is fading quickly, and I don't have my ring light, so I'm going to make this very quick tonight. I brought two books with me, and since it is a little bit later, the one book that I brought with me is Nightlight, a book of nighttime meditations by Amy Dean. When I first got sober, somebody gave this to me. I think it was my dad. Does it say in here? No, it doesn't say. But when I first got sober, I relied so heavily on reading these little books when I got up in the morning and reading them before I went to bed at night. It was like such a big part of my nighttime ritual, especially this specific book that is about nighttime meditations and kind of reviewing your day. And I still have, at times in my sobriety, read specifically this book. But now, it doesn't really matter to me which meditation book I read at the end of the day, but I really do like reading this one at the end of the day. So I brought this with me. And then I also brought Cindy Spiegel's A Year of Positive Thinking so that we could have some kind of positive. It's about daily inspiration, wisdom, and courage by Cindy Spiegel. So we can have something positive to read about before we go to sleep tonight. If you watch this before you go to sleep. If not, good morning. How are you? And I hope this is helping you today. Okay, June 2nd. Oh, you know what I just realized? Today is my mom's sobriety birthday. If my mom had, if she were still here today and she had stayed sober, she would have had 26 years of sobriety today. That's crazy to think. Anyway, all right. It's another, just one sentence. June 2nd, a mantra for guilt. I will not feel guilty for choosing myself first. Guilt is not welcomed here. I really like that meditation. You know, it's interesting because I think at one time or another we've often felt guilty about situations, you know, whether it's, you know, making somebody miss something because of an obligation that they have with us, or just, you know, just small things to big things. I think we all harbor guilt over that, you know. And one of the lessons that I've learned is, what does that serve in my life? Like, what does the point of guilt serve? It really doesn't serve anything, does it? Like, if you're feeling guilty about something, do something about it, right? Like, learn to make an amends, or do some evaluation and inventory over it and look at, why do you feel that way? Why do you feel guilty about this? Is there something that you need to correct? Do you need to go to a person or an organization of which you feel guilty about and say, hey, I need to take responsibility for this. You know, I'm not feeling good about this. But just to sit in guilt and feel guilty about it, I think is absolutely pointless. You know, I remember when I got sober, and my mom would say things to me like, well, I really, you know, I think that you're probably, you know, an alcoholic and an addict because you watched me drink so much when you were younger, and, you know, on and on and on. And at one point I had this conversation with her, and I said, you know, Mom, first of all, the guilt that you are feeling is serving no purpose whatsoever. You can't go back and change what happened, right? If you want to have a conversation with me, talking to me about how things are different today, or how you feel about looking back over that, because my mom is somebody that did beat herself up when she beat herself up when she was drinking the next day. You know, she felt so bad about stuff specifically related to being a good mom, you know, being what she deemed a good mom. And but then later in life too, you know, she felt so horrible for it. And she'd say, I feel like, you know, you missed out on a lot of years that you could have been a kid because you had to take care of me and things. At the same time, I also had an amazing childhood at times. You know, it wasn't, I talk on here about my mom being an active alcoholic, but like my cousin and I always talk about how we also had kind of a magical childhood at times as well, right? So I'm like, Mom, what's the point of all this guilt that you are feeling? Like, what is it achieving for you, you know? Oh, I guess, I don't know, nothing, right? And I'm like, but the other thing that's unfair about it is, if you are responsible for the reason why I picked up and started drinking, then you are also responsible for my sobriety as well. And nobody owns that besides me. Like, that's between me and my higher power, right? Like, you don't own that. That's not yours to take responsibility for. And that's not fair that you should feel responsible for that. And she's like, yeah, I never really thought of it that way, you know? So, I mean, we have to take a look at the guilt and why we're feeling it, because I think many times it's just this pointless feeling that, like, it serves absolutely no purpose. And yet many of us just wreck ourselves with guilt on a daily basis. Especially, I think it's like when, like, past relationships or people that have passed on, it's like we can't do anything about those things now. So what is the point? I mean, really, if you're somebody that feels deeply guilty about something, A, ask yourself, what purpose is this serving in my life? And B, say, why am I not doing anything about it to let go of this guilt? Because it's just holding me back, right? It's just, there is no purpose for it. Okay, the battery died. Let's get into the next meditation, okay? Which is from Nightlight by Amy Dean. You're only human. You're supposed to make mistakes. The Billy Joel quote. Okay, from his song, obviously. Are we determined fault finders? It may be easy for us to point fingers at others or to cite instances of wrongdoing. It may also be easy for us to misinterpret another's actions, twist words, or make something seem totally opposite to the truth. Everyone makes mistakes, including us, but somewhere along the path of our growth, we learned we could defend ourselves if we were judge and jury. So we took a defensive stance, clinging to our battle stations as we weathered school, family, relationships, and careers. We don't have to be so ready to make ourselves blameless and faultless. We can disband our courts of law at any time. But when we do, we will be admitting to ourselves and the people in our lives that we are only human. When we, too, can see ourselves as human, we'll no longer look at life as a battlefield, but as a classroom where everyone is both teacher and student. I can see myself as human and accept that no human being is blameless. Wow. What an amazing meditation and a very valuable lesson that I have learned in my life. And do you know anybody that constantly is pointing the finger and blaming other people, and they are just the ultimate victim? And what's really sad about that is that they don't really get to enjoy life, right? Because when you realize that you have a part in some things, right? I'm not saying all things. There are some really serious, deep things that happen that nobody has a part in that. But when you realize that you have a part in some things that happen to you, you realize that you have a lot more control in your life than you really do, especially at least on how you respond to things. If maybe your only part is how I respond to something, that's powerful, right? But then there are people that are always wanting to tell on somebody. It's so, to me, I talk about it on a regular basis. It's so fifth grade to me, that we always want to, if you knew what this person, I just talked about this in my drama video today. If you knew what this person did, if you knew how they had mistreated me, listen, we've all been mistreated by somebody. We've all had somebody do us wrong. We've all been done wrong some way, right? Do you want to be the person that constantly is talking about how people are doing you wrong? Do you want to be the victim evermore? Or do you want to be the person that inspires and motivates other people, right? And says, you know what, yeah, these things happened to me and I've grown from those experiences, right? The other thing I really don't like is when we've surpassed into it's like somebody screws you over and you want to talk about how all these people screwed you over. But then the lesson that is learned from that as a grown adult is, well, that's why I don't have friends in my life anymore. Or that's why I'm guarded and I don't tell people things. Or that's why I don't have people in my life anymore. Or that's why I don't date because, all men will screw you over or all women will screw you over or whatever the statement is, right? What you're really saying is, I am so afraid to live and be hurt again that I'm not going to ever have any interactions. And really, the person that stands there and goes, well, that's why I'm guarded today, that person is the person that's missing out, That person that will say, I'll always call somebody out is the one that is stuck on being the forever victim. The person that wants to tell on somebody else is really the saddest person standing there because they're really not enjoying their life. They really aren't. They're more concerned on telling you what somebody did to them than actually living their life and moving on. It was like this joke a couple years ago, when everybody would talk about living my best life, I'm living my best life, I'm living my best life. You see all these famous people talking about it. And I think at that time when I was doing drama on YouTube, it was always just so comical to me that some of these people that were living their best life were constantly talking about what other people had done to them. And I'm like, I don't know about you. I can only speak about my experience, but I am not living my best life when I am consumed with what somebody else did to me. And I have been betrayed a lot in my life. I have been hurt purposely and not purposely. I have been hurt just by accident that somebody hurt my feelings. I have been hurt on a very deep level. At times it has been just a mistake, and at other times it's been very calculated. And I could sit on my videos for hours and talk about all the wrongs that have been done to me in this life, right? What's the point? Really? You know, like when I'm living my best life, however I define that, you know, and for me, my best life is peaceful, being peaceful and serene, and having peace and serenity in my life, being happy, joyous, and free, reading books, listening to audiobooks, you know, hanging out with my husband and my best friend, and just, you know, not having a lot of turmoil in my life. When I have that, when I'm living my best life, I'm not playing victim to the betrayals that happened to me, right? When I'm living my best life, I don't have a need to constantly be telling on somebody and how bad they hurt me, right? When I'm living my best life, I've worked through those things and I've realized who I was in that moment, or what do I need to take responsibility for? And maybe I don't have anything that I'm responsible for, like I talked about before. Maybe, you know, what I really need to take a look at is why I'm holding on to that pain and that hurt. Maybe I need to talk to somebody about how badly I was hurt in that moment. And I need somebody else to validate that and, you know, so I feel vindicated. But to go on and on and on and on and on about it, it's like, okay, you're the one that ends up losing in the long run. If you find yourself in need of constantly telling on somebody and constantly like, if you knew the truth about this person, blah, 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 whatever, you know, it's sad to me. You're wasting your time spinning your wheels about somebody else. Who cares? Why do you? You're not living your best life. If you were really being honest with yourself, and I have done it, listen, I have spent months of my life telling on other people, okay, in my past, you know. If you had known what this person did, if you knew what this person did, oh, this person's a nasty person because they did this, and you know what, I don't even know where those people are today. You know, some of them, it's been 20 years, and I consumed myself for months talking about those people. I don't even know where they're at today, you know. Instead, I'd like to look at the lessons that I've learned as a result from that. And sometimes it's not, there aren't lessons in what happens to us, okay? You know, sometimes justifiable anger or justifiable pain is true. Like, sometimes things that happen to us, we had no part in, and it's not right, and it was hurtful, okay? And sometimes the lesson that we've learned, like Melody Beatty said a couple months ago in that meditation that I wish I knew what day it was so I could go back and find it in the book. Such a powerful meditation, but when she said, sometimes things that happen to us in our life are not to teach us lessons. Sometimes the things that happen to us are to teach us that we're stronger than we thought we were. Wow, that's pretty powerful, isn't it? So maybe instead of us constantly needing to tell on somebody and playing victim and telling everybody how betrayed we were and how hurt we were, you know, that's okay. We need to process that with somebody. For me today, that's my sponsor, or, you know, talking to my husband or my best friend and saying, I'm really hurt by this, you know. But also being able to allow ourselves to grow and move through that to the other side, to say, I don't want to be held hostage to this pain anymore. That's really where forgiveness comes in a little bit too, you know. It's like, Oprah's definition of forgiveness is accepting that what happened in the past happened, okay? Not that what happened was okay, but that it happened and we can't change that. Now what are we going to do about it so that we can move on, you know, and move through it and not be held hostage to the pain of the past? That's powerful to me. That's like super powerful to me because it gives me options. It makes me realize that today I don't have to just sit and spin my wheels and complain about what happened to me and how hurt I was. That I actually have options. There are things that I can do with that today. One of which is turn my wounds into wisdom and realize that I can move through that and be testament of that to other people and live the best life that I possibly can. And that's what I want, you know, because I've witnessed that from other people that have gone through things and they've lived the best life. And I look at them and I go, wow, you know, if they were done that wrong by somebody 10 times worse than I was done wrong, then I can too get through that. That's why when I witness people that have gone through the same struggles and tragedies of life that I have had, and I see how they have done it, and they had it worse than I did, and I go, wow, if they can do it, I can too. And that's powerful, right? What's not powerful is to just sit and complain and complain and complain about how screwed over we were in life. And it really affects us the most, you know? That was a great meditation, really great meditation. So anyway, let me know what you think about all of that in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.